Hey everyone, how you guys doing today? It's Shane. It's Sunday. I'm going to show you my Tampa haul, but I also want to show you what I picked up from the other stores. Hopefully everyone's doing well. I wanted to shoot this video before the hurricane comes down here. I live in Florida. It's supposed to be coming our way, but we'll see. At this point, there are people. I was out today, I gotta just tell you. I was out today, and people were panicking like it's fucking Armageddon. I've been through so many of these hurricanes now, it's just like, this one actually is coming our way, but I'm just telling you, man, people are, and they're assholes too. Like, it's all about me. I gotta save me, and all this fucking. I was a little annoyed earlier, but I'm sort of like, let people be what they want to be, I guess. But anyways, enough hurricane hijinks. Let's just get into it. I got a lot to show you. I'm going to show you first the pickups I've gotten from recent few weeks. All of these are going to be from Jerk Dog Records. I'll show you the CDs first, 45 singles, then the albums I picked up from Jerk Dog, and then I'll show you the Tampa Bay record show, which was yesterday. It was pretty good. I sold, and it was okay. I mean, it wasn't a great show, but it was okay. So, anyways, let's just get into it. CDs, I got 3 of them to show you. All these were like basically sealed, so I just snagged them, and they're cheap too, $4 or $5 a piece. Howlin' Wolf, and this is just self-titled. I believe this is his second record. I know this is like that's a classic. You've seen that album. If you're into blues, you've seen that album cover. But classic second record by him. Got some of his bigger songs on it. Red Rooster, Spoonful, which probably the first song I heard by him. Backdoor Man, the nasty version of Backdoor Man. Howlin' for My Baby, kind of an up-tempo song for him. My first real foray into blues was Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf were like my first 2 guys I got into the blues with. I think it was the Howlin' Wolf sessions, and then it was like best of Muddy Waters, like the chess recordings, and those were like the first 2. And then I got into Sonny Boy Williamson and all this great blues. But whatever. It's awesome stuff. Howlin' Wolf, you know the name. If you listen to music, popular music, you know who he is. It's not like a surprise. This band I heard a lot about, but don't know really much about what they've done and like that kind of stuff. But this is a Radiation reissue, and I've seen the album around, and maybe you guys have too. The Nuns. This one was $5. Pretty much anything Radiation's reissuing, I'm snagging. So I'm happy to get this for $5. So this is, obviously the big comparison here is like the Blondie. There's something more like sinister going on with this group. It's way more like new wave into goth, but with a punk beat, kind of a driving punk beat with the drums and the guitars somewhat. It's like gothic punk, I guess. I don't know. With the new wave, I mean, obviously I could hear a little bit of a Blondie thing in here, but San Francisco band with the great Jennifer Miro on vocals. Yeah, this is fucking excellent. This is a really, really good. I'd like to get this on vinyl. I'm super pleased with having this. So cool. And last CD, and this one I was tickled to get because I had been looking for stuff by this. It's a compilation of vinyl tracks that were, I don't know if these are from 2 of their albums maybe, but this is the Sympathy Sessions by the Oblivions. Yes, and I can't really show the back because there's nudity. I'll just show you that part of the back. But yeah, great band. This band is so good. Punk band that infuses like noise elements and like lo-fi sort of garage, but the noise aspect is what really turns me on about this group. But yeah, this looks like it's from 2 different albums by them, 6 of the Best and then the Oblivions. So I've been looking for something by this group for a long time. My favorite punk band out right now is Sick Thoughts, And Six Thoughts loves the Oblivions. He's talked, or the guy who Drew Owens, who is basically Six Thoughts, has talked about fucking Oblivions a lot, and he referenced them, and that's kind of. I mean, I knew the name before, but like I didn't, Well, I could probably show it back here because you can't see anything. But yeah, it's really, really good. Let's get into the 7 inches. Got a handful here. These first 6 or 7 were all, or 5, well, 5 were all 50 cents a piece, so can't beat that. Silhouettes by the Rays and Daddy Cool by the Rays. Of course, this is doo-wop soul music from the late 50s. Everybody's heard Silhouettes. Silhouettes, 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 silhouettes. You know that song, that old doo-wop song. And then Daddy Cool is it's a pretty cool ass song too. That was another hit. So it's like a B-sided, hits off the XYZ record. There's Daddy Cool again. Yeah, it's 50s soul, doo-wop, whatever you want to call it. It's awesome. The Rays are good. I don't really see a lot of his 45 stuff around that much, and to be honest, I don't really see much of any of his stuff around unless it's in bulk, where I'll see a ton of his albums or a ton of his CDs, or then I won't see anything for years. And I really don't see a lot on 45 by him, so I decided to get this. This is a 1964 release of Elvis's Guitar Man, and the B-side is High Heel Sneakers, which is really cheesy, but a kind of a cool song by Elvis. Guitar Man was originally released in '64, but Jerry Reed, I know Jerry Reed did a cover version of that as well, and there's probably other people who have done it. He reissued Guitar Man, which hit in 1981 on the pop charts. And that's the first time I heard Guitar Man by Elvis. Did not know that was him doing it. Once again, there's Power of E right there. So, yeah, pretty cool. Guitar Man's kind of a hard rocking song for him. But it is hard rocking as it could get, I guess. I love this band, so no doubt in my mind I was going to get this. I just wish it had the right cover for the 45, but when you're getting them for 50 cents. Yeah, it's got the Atlantic label, but it's Yaz, Situation, and then the B-side is Situation, the dub of Yaz. Love this group, synth pop, dance stuff from the early 80s. I fucking love this band of Alison Moyer and soon to be soon to be leader of Erasure before he left to form Erasure, Vince Clarke, who was in Depeche Mode for a hot minute. Really, I think 1 or 2 albums. This one is an English import, and I like English imports, so I just pick up whatever I can see on English import, because their 45s look different, and I'll show you in a second. But this is Mr. Tambourine Man, The Byrds, and Lady Madonna, Gary Puckett and the Union Gap Band. And the Lady Madonna is well worth the fucking admission here. It's really ridiculous. But I like how they have the, like there's not that circular hole in here, but it's all filled out for the 45. So there you go, Lady Madonna, and yeah, Mr. Tambourine Man. I gotta say, I love the Byrds, but I've never been a big fan of Mr. Tambourine Man or Turn, Turn, Turn. Those are like my least favorite Byrds songs. It's like, I don't know. I mean, whatever, but it's just not my favorite. This is just a fun song. I didn't need it on 45, but for 50 cents. The Walk of Life, Dire Straits. And the B-side is One World. So Dire Straits are awesome, man. This is a cool record to have. One World's kind of a bluesy, funky kind of number, and Walk of Life is just so catchy, like catchiest song I've ever heard them do. It's so up tempo and goofy. And if you ever watch the fucking video, it shows like NFL blunders, like sports bloopers with people can't hold on to the ball, and it's so dumb. it's awesome, you know. It's stupid. Ugh. All right, so the rest I got to show you are in the punk sort of indie 45s. These were $2 a piece. I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna fail on these. This is New Mind with Closet Baby, and which includes Closet Baby and the Chris Wilson song. I don't know if this is on any special vinyl or not. Yeah, it's on a clear through vinyl. I think this is kind of like indie post-punk, if I can remember right. If anybody knows who New Mind is, I think it's kind of like indie post-punk or post-hardcore, whatever you want to call it. I think. So, well, that's got my... Usually he writes a receipt for me, Doug does, and I just stick it back there. This is awesome. The Stranger. Good punk rock right here. Stranger. This is Decay, Gut Rot, Ritual, Stranger with My Face, and Visions are the songs off of Lumpy Records. Punk rock, pretty much. I don't know if this is even like really hardcore. I don't think it is. This is almost like a melodic punk, from what I can remember. You know. This next one is really interesting, and it had been sitting in the store forever, but I decided to take the chance on it because I didn't see the back of it. But this is a fixture in the Arizona sort of indie scene, and just a fun band. This is Phoenix Thunderstorm. I think it's Thunderstorm, but it goes by Thunderstorm on here. Phoenix Thunderstorm. Look at the back of this. That's what's fucking sold me right there. Look at that shit. With 2 songs on here, Harry Carey and Secret, live off the Reptilian label. This going back to 1999. This is an interesting kind of... There you go. This is kind of an interesting mix of like sort of punk rock plus some noise elements, like kind of like a punk rock band adding some noise, like Chicago noise, glammy noise too, if that, you know, which is kind of surprising, and a little bit of John Spencer. The Blues Explosion kind of remind me of this, so it's a weird amalgamation of like sort of like blues glam punk, I guess. So Phoenix Thunderscore, is that what it's called? Thunderstone. Wow, I'm way off. Thunderstone, Phoenix Thunderstorm, Stone. So yeah, I can't even say the name right. Refuse to Fall. This is the second 45 I have by this awesome band. This is the Stalemate Sessions, which includes Stalemate and Pleasure off of the Drive label. I'll show you this real quick. I don't think there's anything fancy on this one. Nope. I love Refuse to Fall. Just really, 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 really nice melodic hardcore punk. Just really, really consistent at this. Really, really good stuff. So, Refuse to Fall. I have another 45 on. That's just some great, like, kind of raging hardcore from Virginia. Ceased to Exist. Now, there's a band called Cease to Exist that's kind of more metal, but this has the 2 in there. That's the differentiator. This is off the, I think, if I didn't say Edgewood record, I think I said that already. This is some great fucking hardcore. Throaty vocals, screaming kind of, just some, you know, heavy, almost got that kind of profound existence, our profane existence sound, you know what I'm talking about, with a little bit of crust into it too. Yeah, this is really, really good. And the price was right for $2. I mean, you get hardcore single for fucking $2. You shouldn't be complaining at all. So, Cease to Exist. And the songs on here are, it says Living Proof. That's the name of the EP. But the songs are Dysfunction, Nerve Damage, King's Court, Tunnel Vision, and Living Proof. So, Cease to Exist. This is a good one, y'all. So for the albums I picked up at Doug's, I didn't get that many, so this shouldn't take too long to go through. And then I'll spend most of the time going through the stuff I got from the record show, which is what I want to really spend a lot of the time on today. Yeah, I'm only going to show you one $3 record I got from Doug's. These are all in the last month I picked up from him. But I needed an upgrade on this. The River, Bruce Springsteen. I love this record. But before I talk about the record, yeah, the cover on this is beat. You can see this tape. But the album's in really good shape. My album is worse than this, cover-wise and vinyl-wise. But this album is actually in really, really good shape. I can't believe I got such a clean copy of this. I mean, there are little dirges of dirt and dust, but no real significant dust or grime. I'm surprised this one was $3, but I'm super happy to get it. The double album went to #1 on the album charts for him back in 1980, and has Hungry Heart on it and Fade Away, not Fade Away, or Fade Away, yeah, Fade Away were the two singles off of here. But this album is really, really kind of an interesting album because he sort of was like talking about like the younger years where like, oh, we're going to go find the American dream. Get on my bike, baby, and let's go find it. On this album, he's like, well, we're all adults now. We have responsibilities. So I don't know what dream is left to find, like settling in and living with lost dreams and all that shit. That's what I think he's talking about anyways. But yeah, I like this album. The Ties That Bind is great on here. Independence Day, Two Hearts. I'm a Rocker's cool. Yeah, there's a lot of good songs on here. Of course, The River is awesome. The title track is great. But Hungry Heart, man, is so good. Such a good song. The only rap album I got for you today, and it's a rap group from the late 80s, the Ultra Magnetic MCs, and this is the B-sides compilation. This one was $10. I don't have a lot of rap in my collection. I have on a handful of rap albums I have, maybe 4 in my collection. I don't own a lot of rap. I like it, but I don't own a lot of it. So this is got just like a lot of B-sides. Ultra Magnetics, I think, or Magnetic MCs, I think that was founded by Kool Keith. I think he was part of that group. And he had went on to have his own solo career. And I kind of like some of the stuff that I heard by Kool Keith. But I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not really familiar with this group. I haven't really listened to this yet, so I don't know. My guess is it's hip-hop rap stuff, just right down to the... I think MC Ultra is on this too. Like, I don't really know these guys, but, I had to take a chance on it. So, Ultra Magnet MCs, the B-Sides Companion is the name of that one. I'm just trying to get through these fast. This was a compilation that was real cheap from the Sympathy from the Record Industry label, which is cool. This is Root Damage. And this is, I think it was a compilation that came out in the early 2000s with a bunch of different artists doing like country, rockabilly, what they say? Real black blues guys, sort of bluesy white guys, Dixie fried country singers, Opry dolls, demented hillbillies, honky-tonk casualties, and other assorted talented and semi-talented performers. I don't know what to expect with that. I think I want to say, like, I think Billy Childish is on there, and Dan Melcher I think is on there, but I don't remember all the artists who are on there. I think Junior Kimbrough might be on this. If anybody knows about Roots Damage, let me know. But a double album for $15, sealed. I'm gonna take that home with me, guys. I'm gonna definitely take that home with me. This one was $21, and I had this on hold for a few weeks till I had the money to pay for it, which is cool that Doug will let you hold it forever. But this is the 5, 6, 7, 8s. Yeah, you know that song from Kill Bill. That's how I heard of the 5, 6, 7, 8s. Probably the same as most of you guys, maybe not. This is off the Third Man label, or Third Man Records, which is Jack White's record label. I like this stuff. It's kitschy kind of garage rock. It's a lot of fun. These girls don't take themselves serious at all. They're like kind of just rather have fun. I think there's a fun-filled thing, kind of like taking some of that free full, like that freedom, or that whatever you want to call it, giddiness that Shonen Knife had. This group has it too, but I think this is a little bit more garage rock oriented stuff. So I've never seen the 5, 6, 7, 8 stuff on vinyl. So this was the first time I've seen it. This is a 2010 release, I think. I don't know if this is the original. Let me see if it came out prior. But anyways, yeah, this is just, like I said, goofy garage punk, garage rock. It's a lot of fun. And it is kind of punkish, and it's kind of rockish, garage rockish. I don't know what you would call it, but whatever. What was it, the first Kill Bill. I think that's in the first Kill Bill. Gore with Hello. The very first Gore album. This one was scored, I scored this super cheap. This one was $21. The very first Gore album, if I already said that. Sorry if I repeat myself. Way more on the sort of punk side of things. They got a little bit more thrashy and a little bit more just metal-esque as they went along. This is kind of more like a kind of crossover of thrash and punk. Kind of raw sounding stuff on here. Time for Death, the first song in here, is killer. This came out in 1988, but was reissued on Pit Records, Slave Pit Records, in 2024. So this was a reissue for this year. If you're a fan of Gore like I am, and I am a fucking fan of this group, they're going to start reissuing their stuff. So you guys, and they're going to, this is cheap. $21 is dirt cheap. Let me show you to make sure. Yeah, you can see the 21 stuff. So I can't wait for me to get a copy of America Must Be Destroyed. I can't wait to get a copy of this. What was it? This Toilet Earth. I love some of that Gore shit. I really, really do. This one was, now this is the second album I bought by these guys. So the video you saw previously, three or 4 weeks ago, I showed one of their albums, and I'm back for more Punishment. Cocteau Twins with Treasure. So not really Punishment. I'm just kind of being sarcastic. Off the 4AD label, this is a 1986 album, and what, their third studio album? Yeah, I think third. Yeah, I like this. It's definitely very ethereal sounding, very dense, very kind of experimental in a way. Way so more like I think the Heaven, Leaving Heaven, or whatever the Las Vegas album that they did, Leaving Las Vegas, or whatever the name of that album is, Heaven or Las Vegas, or whatever that album is way more accessible and probably my favorite album by them. But this one is definitely a challenge to the ear. And I really, really am starting to appreciate this band a lot more than I did. Because when I first heard this group, I just could not, I just couldn't get into it. And I like noise and experimental stuff. And this really challenged me. This is my Bloody Valentine. I had a hard time getting in either one of these groups. I saw the beauty in it and stuff. But there was something about the rhythmic and just the sort of layered, I don't know, I couldn't get into these guys for the longest time. And I just got that Heaven, I just been buying their CDs, and then got that Heaven or Las Vegas one, like I said, just about a month or so before I got this. And so I'm trying to give this a chance. And Cocteau Twins their shit is cheap right now. They're reissuing their stuff. This one was $23 fucking dollars. And if they keep reissuing Cocteau Twin stuff, I'm going to keep buying it. I actually find myself kind of liking it now. I find it kind of comforting music, whereas in the past, it's weird how my ears work because it's beautiful music, but I just couldn't get into it for some reason for a long time. Let's go into some punk, and I saw this and I had to get this because I collect almost everything by this group. This is their third album, studio album, 1983. Maggie, Let's Start a War, the Exploited. Yes, I love the Exploited. Another Radiation reissue that was reissued this year by Radiation Records. I love Exploited. You know, more of the same. Just great street punk with some fucking metal tendencies. This band was, I don't know why this band doesn't, and maybe they do for some extreme metal bands, but this should be like an extreme metal band influence. People talk about Discharge and Siege and, whatever, all these bands, the hardcore bands, maybe even GBH. I barely hear fucking Exploited being as an influence, but man, they're awesome. Awesome. Just real fucking hardcore punk. Just, All right, we're getting to the end, guys. We're getting to the end. So, one more record before I start showing you the Tampa haul. This one, I'm shocked that this was in his store. And this had been available supposedly for over 40 years. And I've been really trying to get this. My brother could have got this in a punk store in England. And I kind of was like, I'll order it. And then for some reason it didn't happen. And I was like, well, maybe I lost my chance on that. And then it's sitting in the bins right away. It's the second SSD Control album. What is the name of this album? Getaway? Get It Away. So, fucking 12 minutes of some great hardcore blast on here. I mean, there's 6 or 7 songs on here. Very, very short. Boston-based hardcore group. I love SSD Control. They're also owned by SSD too. If you heard that name, it's the same thing, really. Well, at least I think it is. So, hardcore punk from the early 80s. I just fucking love this stuff to death. I don't really need to say anything about this. If you're into hardcore punk, you know who this is. All right, let's get into the albums I picked up from the Tampa Record Show. I did buy some albums, and I'm sort of like, I didn't want to spend a lot of money at the show, and so what I did is I spent $35 on records there in cash, and the rest I spent on my credit card, which I'm kind of going to have to pay for the credit card. Literally had to pay for it. But let's just get into it. I'm going to go by order of price on these. So I'm going to start cheap. As I was leaving the show, I was dicking around and I saw this, flipping through this guy's $2 bin, and I saw this, and I don't really see his stuff on vinyl that much. I don't. And he's one of my favorite country singers, so I just like, fuck it, why not? Hank Williams with, is this Golden Memories, like a reissue on Polygram 1991. So kind of cool to get a 90s reissue of old Hank songs on here. And it's not like his greatest hits either. So Lost Highway is on here. That's probably the only song I remember him doing. This doesn't have like Kilaga and Your Cheating Heart and I'm So Lonesome and all that stuff is not on here. It's just a lot of weird songs on here that I've not heard, like Message to My Mother, Lost on the River, and the awesome sort of up-tempo, even though it's got some almost like morbid lyrics, and that is We're Getting Closer to the Grave Each Day, which is a great song on here. Hank Williams is a musical hero of mine in a lot of ways. He's just great. One of the best country songwriters ever. It's almost like he's an institution in music, and I don't really need to say a lot, so I won't. These two, I picked up in this guy's like sort of like gothic industrial section. He had these two sitting in there for like $2-3 a piece, so I just said fuck it, I'll get them. and it's this kind of the same artist. So Patty Page says wonderful things. I really, really, really like Patty Page. Her voice is very comforting. When I was a kid, I had that Patty Page's greatest hits and heard like Mockingbird Hill and fucking How Much Is That Doggy in the Window, and it was really like to me like comforting as a kid to hear those songs. And yeah, so this one comes out in 19 in I think the early 60s. This came out, and just happy to have it for the collection. I love some of this old kind of music. This record is kind of like she was doing sort of like rock and roll ish stuff, like covering rock songs, and so she kind of tries to go back to doing kind of or she doesn't try, she tries to go from that singing like rock pop stuff to doing like standards. It's almost like a standards album, which is kind of wonky a bit for me, but still I kind of like this. Like she does Moon River, The End of the World, which her version of End of the World is beautiful. The great Can't Get Used to Losing You is on here. It's a great song by her. But she does Days of Wine and Roses, Say Wonderful Things. To me, not her best album, but it's on the old Columbia label, which is kind of nice. You can see Patty right there, maybe. Yep. So, but yeah, I like Patty Page, so I got it. And I also got this other Patty Page, Gentle on My Mind. Like I said, there were sitting bookends in there. I'm like, are these yours? And he goes, yeah. Because most of the stuff was like dance, industrial, new wave, whatever. And then this one was not. So, on the Columbia label here too. This one, Gentle on My Mind is the name on it. And she actually covers Gentle on My Mind, the old Bud Campbell song on here. And this is her trying to do like versions of modern songs in her way, if that makes any sense. So it's kind of, she's got, I think Billy May does the, nope, it's Don Costa. But it has kind of an old school feeling on here. Like Green Green Grass at Home kind of reminds me of the 40s, 50s Patty Page stuff. You know, A Little Green Apples is on here. Yeah, I like this. I mean, these two albums I showed you by her, this one and this, are 60s albums. This one came out in the early 60s, and this was like late 60, maybe 67 or 68. So they're kind of, you know, not the golden era of her sound. She's experimenting a little bit, trying to go back to her sound, you know, but it doesn't really work. I don't know. I guess that's not up to me. Next is, this one was $3. I bought this off a vendor, and he was really, really, really cool. He bought a bunch of stuff off of me real cheap, so he gave me a deal. So at his table, I spent, I'll show you everything I got. It was 41, but he said 35, and I said thanks. Yeah, and this one I think I've had this before, but it was sealed. And this is one of my favorite kind of like country groups. If that's what I would call them. Red Clay Ramblers with Merchant Lunch. So, Merchant's Lunch, sorry. This is 1977 release off of Flying Fish Records, great label out of Chicago. It's sealed, but it's got a little tear in here. Band out of North Carolina, I want to say. I know Tom Thompson, one of the ringleaders of this band, played in the Durham area. You know, prayers for North Carolina, all the shit they're going through down there. But yeah, this is awesome. I guess it's always, these guys always been described as like sort of like folk bluegrass or bluegrass folk music or whatever, but this to me reminds me, like, it's a combination of a few things, but there's definitely humor in the Red Clay Ramblers, and it's kind of almost like, in some of it's kind of goofy. I don't know if it's as strange as like Holy Modal Rounders, but that's the band I was thinking of. Like, it's kind of reminds me of that a little bit. Plus, it kind of reminds me of Um, who else was I gonna say? It's gonna kill me here. I'm not trying to remember. Holy Moly Wounders and a little bit of like fucking uh, sort of. Damn, I'm trying to think of who that would be. Maybe like even like sort of David Allan Coe for like sort of the witty lyrics they it has, like sort of not quite as rebellious as David Allan Coe. Maybe like closer to like a Jerry Reed or something like that. Yeah, that would probably be a better. Like the lyrics are kind of goofy, but definitely Holy Model Rondos and Captain Cody. Yeah, this kind of reminds me of Commander Cody and his Lost Air. Yeah, like Commander Cody. That's kind of who. It's really quirky shit. I love this band. I got into these guys kind of on accident because I picked up their stuff like, well, not on accident, but I picked up one of their albums like super cheap, and it was like, yep, that'll work. This next group I didn't know anything about, but the price was right for $3. This is an EP going back to 1985 on WM Records, Jersey band. This is the Swirling Dervishes, and this is History Kicks You. So 6-song EP by the Swirling Dervishes. Interesting group. Definitely college rock friendly, indie rock stuff. Very kind of, some of it moody and kind of atmospheric. Some of the guitar work in this kind of reminds me of The Cure. Some of this kind of reminds me a little bit of like The Alarm. You know, there's a little bit of a jangle in there. Kind of reminds me of The Alarm, but yeah, I'm not sure. They're definitely moody for sure. There's definitely a moodiness to it, and this is off of the, like I said, WM label. This is black vinyl. Yeah, I liked it. That's a, you know, early mid 80s sounding, way more like, sounds like it's ahead of its time a little bit. It sounds like something that I heard in the 90s but was done in the 80s. So yeah, they were really popular in Jersey, I believe, but just I don't think they crossed over very well throughout the United States. But Swirling Dervishes, guys, that's pretty good. Whirling Dervishes. We're not swirling. Whirling Dervishes. The next one, if you've heard her, I don't need to say much. So, Yima Sumac with Mambo. Yeah. So, off of the Capitol record label, in beautiful shape on Capitol Records. I really like Yima Sumac. She has one of the more definable voices in the history of music, probably. It's crazy. And she's from Peru, I think. She was of Incan descent. I don't remember if she was a princess there or something, but she's, you know, been very popular in her own country. And Yima Sumac, she has kind of a cult following in the States here. She was on David Letterman, and that's how I first heard of her. I didn't know who she was. And somebody goes, you gotta see this Letterman performance. And I saw it, and then I ended up buying, I think it was Montebae, the album by her, or Xantabe, or whatever that album was. And I had it in my collection for a long time, and it was awesome. This, she's adding elements of mambo music. She's adding elements of that sort of lounge stuff that she's used to doing. You know, like it's sort of kind of loungy. And it's done with kind of wonderful results. The band and the arrangements on here are fucking amazing. And then you hear her voice, and it's like, it just kind of comes out of left field. You're like, what the fuck? Yeah. If I could recommend one song on here, Five Bottles Mambo is that song, man. Oh gosh. Her voice on that song is like death metal for back in the day. Her voice is all gruff. It cracks me up. But Malambo 1 is good. Goomba, Moomba, is good on here. This is fun. But also, there's an artistry to what she's doing. What she can do with her vocals, it's just crazy. So, give Yuma Sumac a chance if you like the lounge stuff. So this is a mix of mambo and lounge, and it's so good, so good, so good. Frank Marino's Mahogany Rush with Child of the Novelty. I say his second record. Yeah, I love Marino's fucking covers off the 20th Century label right here. In good shape too. This guy's stuff was in good shape. This one was $6. I just like Marino's stuff, especially the earlier stuff, up to Tales of the Unexpected. It's just so like, it kind of reminds me of very much in Hendrix influenced stuff, bluesy rock, hard rock, but there's the elements of psychedelia and more experimental stuff in the earlier albums. That's why I love these albums. Like his first 3-4 albums are so good. On this one, I'm just so happy to get on vinyl. I love Frank Marino. Mahogany Rush. Yes. So happy to have that one. And then this one, I can't believe I found for cheap. This used to be almost like a holy grail to find on vinyl, especially with the original red felt covering. I'm giving it away. The Bee Gees with Odessa. This used to be a very, very hard album to find in good shape. This used to be like a $20 to $25 record when I was doing record shows back in the early 2000s. So for me to find a copy of this for fucking $10, and I'm gonna open this bitch up so you can see, but the inside is not red felt. Inside is this. It's on the Echo label, and the record is in good fucking shape. That's what I was worried about, that this was not going to be in good shape. But for the most part, it's got scratches, but I mean, it's in good shape. I mean, it's not going to be perfectly not, without scratches on it anyways. So on the Echo label, very for the Bee Gees, very progressive, psychedelic pop, done with a lot of kind of an artistry that the Bee Gees never touched afterwards. This is a stunning achievement in what these guys can do. The vocals are good, but the arrangements and the music are just as good. And this is just great pop psych stuff. And it is stunning. The song Odessa in itself is an amazing, amazing song on here. I forget what else. Black Diamond is one of my favorite songs on here. Melody Fair, Suddenly. Like I said, this is where they're kind of like what the Moody Blues were doing, but they're really pushing the psych out on this one quite a bit. The Moody's did too, but the Moody's would do that, stay in that almost like classical kind of thing, whereas these guys are really pushing the psychedelia on this fucking album. It's really cool to have this on vinyl. I love this album. I haven't heard it in ages. Like I said, back in the day, this would be like for $10, somebody would have gobbled this fucking thing up. There you go. But to get this for fairly cheap with the red felt cover is really, really cool. I really like the Bee Gees stuff. I think too, kind of, if I'm going to be honest, I think Robin's vocals are so cheesy that it adds something to what they're doing that's so uniquely them. Like when you hear them sort of like harmonizing, it's kind of funny in a way to me, and that's not a dig on them. That's like, it's so original in a way and so inventive, because their harmonies sound so different than how other groups harmonize, because it's almost like they're just holding on to the note before the note falls off the fucking cliff. It's just bizarre. And this is the last one I picked up from this guy's table, one of the guy's tables. This one I thought was an absolute steal for $15. Razor, Armed and Dangerous EP. The very first Razor release, I believe. Great Canadian thrash band here. There is some, I believe, on here. pre-production demos on here. So this is the earliest of the early of Razor, and I've always liked this group. Well, since I've started hearing them, there's just something very aggressive and menacing almost about their approach in thrash. They're just like not fucking around. It's very aggressive, fast thrash music. It's really good. And I don't know if this is on vinyl, on a colored vinyl or not. Is it? Nope. But still, for 15 bucks, I'll take it. Look at that beautiful thing. I love thrash metal, and I love that early, like the earlier stuff by the bands I like even more. You know, like the first few albums by all these thrash bands are usually killer shit. So I was surprised to see this in there for so cheap. You know, I thought for sure this was going to be more money, but I was like, fucking man, Razor's awesome. I don't have anything by them, so start here. And getting into what's left, oh god, I'm already going on 45 minutes, but I don't have that many albums left. These were from this dealer who was sitting right across from me. I'll try to make this short because I want this to be around 50 minutes. But he was selling gothic industrial stuff, and I was like crazy, almost lost my mind, and I pulled myself back. This one, not either one of those, but whatever. This is the Greg Kihn Band, the 12-inch single that has the breakup song, The Girl Most Likely, which is such a catchy song by him, Valerie, and Can't Stop Hurting Myself, a great Greg Kihn song off the Berserkly label. I love Greg Kihn's stuff like this. Late 80s or late 70s, early 80s. Greg Kihn is good stuff right there on the Berserkly label. The breakup song was one of my favorite songs when I was a kid. You know, I didn't even know that was considered power pop. And y'all, you know this is true. I don't get why, like, when people talk about power pop or they'll do specials on power pop, how come no one ever talks about Greg Kihn? They won't talk about Greg Kihn, and they won't talk about Rick Springfield. And as far as I'm concerned, the first album he did, not his first album, but the first album from the 80s, Working Class Dog, that's a total power pop album. And it's a good one. Like, just because it's top 40 now, nobody wants to talk about these groups or something, but Greg Kihn Band is fucking great power pop. It's, you know, it's not 2020 or any of fucking power pop snobs are out there. Can you fucking believe that? They are too. I hate the BC sometimes because of the politicking and the snobbery. It's like, but there's also power pop that hit the top 40, but that's not real good power pop because it's the commercial power pop, and it's like, give me a break. All right, let's get weird. Pankow with Gazella, 1989 album by this weird fucking Italian duo. Fucking so strange. Industrial music with a real theatrical and twisted bent on it. The last song on here I think is called Follow Me in Suicide. And that song is so, like, it's kind of like more a ballad, but the lyrics are ridiculous if you haven't heard that. But they also have the song on here, Me and My Ding Dong, which is awesome too. But the guy who sold this to me goes, that's some weird shit. He just looked at me and he goes, that's some weird shit. And I'm like, that's what I want. So look at that cover, Pankow. Now I remember these guys, they're on Wax Trax. They're considered industrial music. But I've never seen their shit out in the wild till now. And then I picked up one of their singles that has Me and My Ding Dong on it. More Pankow for you there. This is 1989 too. Yeah, this has got like 3 tracks on it, but the main highlight track is Me and My Ding Dong. I can't keep saying that. I'll get flagged. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, cool. This one is more a single. I'm just trying to stay away from singles, industrial singles, and getting more of the fucking albums. But the albums are harder to find than the singles, you know. Group from Boston, I'm really impressed by this. This is going back to 1985. This is Salem 66 with a ripping spin. So, mid 80s, like I said, band out of Massachusetts, female-led group. I want to say I think they were all female, and unless they had a bassist with them. Uh, Kind of moody college rock, very very good. Sometimes almost like ethereal vocals, but with a kind of a post punk, indie rock, college rock sound. It's not quite. It's not this. This group kind of reminds me a little bit. The moodiness kind of a little bit kind of reminds me of Throwing Muses, but they're. I think they're a tad bit more like ethereal, I guess, or something. There's something very dreamy. There's like dream pop elements into this kind of college rock sound. And it is more on the rock, moody, atmospheric sound than it is on the dream pop. But there is something in there that's like dreamy, if that makes any sense. And I just took a chance on this one. It was $15, and I was super happy I got this. I've seen this around, but it's been a while. So if you like this kind of stuff like I do, Salem 66, Ripping to Spin, pick this up. It's on the Dutch East India trading label, which to me back in the day was like anything that was on that label was gold. This Canadian band, and I'm gonna be honest, I bought it just for the cover, not knowing anything about them. This is My Dog Popper, and this is 668 Neighborhood of the Beast. Neighborhood of the Beast? Neighbor of the Beast. So 1988 punk with a weird, kind of weird experimental punk. Yeah, that's exactly what this is. It's got like elements of almost like, kind of almost reminds me without the horns, but the kind of creepy and goofiness of like Ellis Donut, but also is got the melodic sort of punk sound. Not necessarily Husker Du, but very melodic, more like Dag Nasty, with that melodicism, I should say. Yeah, I would really, really, really like this. I would say this is straight up punk, melodic punk, but Canadian band. Really, really, really cool. Yeah, didn't know what it was. Okay, two left. This one, it does not include the 7-inch single, but I don't care. And this is just for my collection. These next two are for my collection of two of my favorite bands. So, and if you watch the show, you've probably seen me show stuff by these two bands. Maybe repeatedly. I don't know if I have in a while. Yes, I have. One of them more recent, but this is Christian Death with the Scriptures. This one was $20. I was tickled to get this for $20. It doesn't include the 12-inch or the 7-inch single on it, the Scriptures, but fuck it. For $20, okay. They had a ton of Christian Death singles, but not a ton of their albums. And like I said, I want to stay away from getting the singles. I just want the albums. I just want that. Straight up gothy. This is to me is gothic rock, but this to me is more experimental, with Valor taking over the vocals. The real star of the show is Gita Damone, the guitarist. Like her guitar structures and stuff like this and probably some of the arrangements she did is fascinating stuff, and it's really kind of cool. Like there's like this sense of like, on some of the songs on here, there's a sense of like a hypnotic effect, or like some sort of sense of surrealism, which I don't really hear from Christian Death very often. I find this album to be kind of interesting because it's got those elements. I'm really not used to hearing that from them. It kind of queases me out a little bit because I'm not a big fan of Valor. As a matter of fact, Valor was the first vocalist I heard because I picked up, I can't remember the name of the album now, but I picked up my first Christian Death album and I heard that, not the Raza stuff, and I was like, but I love Christian Death, and I'll take the Valor stuff now too. I'm a little bit more open-minded about it than I was, because I had heard that, like I said, I had heard some Cleopatra release from the early 90s, and it was the very first Christian Death, and I was like, not with this. And then I went back and heard Only Theater of Pain, and I was like, ooh, I like this. And that's kind of what got me on board with Christian Death. you know, especially Romeo's Distress. And for that song is so great. And last but not least, and this is great too. And sorry, folks, this is going to be running close to an hour because I can't shut my yap. But this is another band I love from the 80s, another gothic rock band. I couldn't resist. They had one of their other albums, but lots of singles there by this group too. And I was like, I want more of the albums. But this is Alien Sex Fiend with the Impossible Mission mini LP. So this has only got 7 songs on it, but I figured why not? An EP, whatever. 7 songs is almost like an album to me. 1987, and the other album they had by him there was Here Come Germs, which I should have gotten because I would have been paying the same fucking price. And I'm kind of kicking myself I didn't do that, but yeah. English gothic rock group. This is fun stuff. I feel like they're getting a little bit more, I don't know, like experimental a little bit, and definitely more like up tempo. I don't want to say dance, but definitely feels less plotting with the thicker gothic rock kind of attack. I feel like this is kind of getting into where they were going to go in the 90s, but not quite there yet. But yeah, it feels a little dancey, but I don't mind at all. Love this group, one of my favorite groups ever. Band from England that does not take themselves serious at all. That's what I love about Alien Sex Fiend. And that's it, guys. That's all I have. Here is in basically under an hour now, and I apologize for it being so long. I'm really trying to make these shorter because I get more views the shorter they are. But whatever. I wanted to pop this one out before the hurricane comes. And as long as all things go well, I'm going to be going to Spooky Empire, and then I'll do a video on my spooky pickups. If that gets canceled, I might go to Tampa, and I might do a Tampa pickup haul. So probably I'll do something in the next 2 weeks, week and a half, 2 weeks. So take care, stay safe, especially if you're in Florida or wherever this stupid fucking storm's coming. I got to tell you though, Hurricane Milton? Ooh, that's scary. Like, what kind of fucking dumb name is that for a hurricane? That doesn't even sound like... Now, Hurricane Tyrone, that sounds like it'd fuck you up. But Hurricane Milton? Unless they're talking about the writer and, you know, John Milton. Anyways, see you guys. Thank you for watching.